Everybody, what is going on? It is Crypto Bobby. Hope you are having a great day, great night, wherever you are watching in from. I'm having a solid day because the Jets just drafted Sam Darnold and didn't think Sam Darnold was going to fall to the Jets. Didn't think they were going to get a quarterback that was hopefully a sure thing. So I'm sipping on a nice Czech Pilsner of some sort to celebrate the Jets, hopefully finding a quarterback in the future. He'll probably severely disappoint me and pull another Mark Sanchez, but hey, let's enjoy it while it lasts and have a damn good time. Today, I want to talk about a couple different things. A few different articles came out. One that I thought was pretty interesting was Dan Moorhead over from Pantera. Interview on Bloomberg talking about $4 trillion market cap-wise for the crypto market being pretty easy and $40 trillion being possible. So I want to talk about that. Also talk about CBOE doing a good amount of volume, and then over $100 million of Bitcoin getting moved from the good old Mt. Gox wallet. So Mt. Gox, again, finding a way to come back somehow, some way. Mt. Gox may be thinking about screwing with us, so we'll have to see what ends up happening there. Quick note, so yesterday and today, I got a chance to meet Peter from What Bitcoin Did, the What Bitcoin Did podcast. He came into the AirSwap office today to interview Don, one of the co-founders, and then I also got a chance to sit down with him for like an hour. So we recorded that conversation. It's going to go up in his podcast tomorrow in a video, and we talked about a bunch of different things specifically the whole like crypto Twitter influencer manipulation, pump and dump stuff. Talked about that, talked about the Vitalik going after CoinDesk, talked about Ethereum, competitors there. Sat down for like 45 minutes, so that's going to be a really good conversation. Definitely stay tuned for that tomorrow. Kyle Babcock, I appreciate you keeping me in touch on the NFL draft stuff because figured I'd pop in here. Sorry for the lack of some of the content most recently, but let's hop into it. So one of the first things, this was a video in here. We could pop this over real quick.
So in the early values are an order of magnitude or two below where they should be. That's to say Bitcoin could be worth 10 times as much as it is now or 100 times as much as it is now?
Yes. I think so. Bitcoin is one of many currencies, so keep that in mind. It's kind of the mega cap of the industry, and there's some smaller caps. The industry as a whole is 400 billion. Easily could go to 4 trillion, and 40 trillion is definitely possible.
So that's one of the things that I think it's definitely worth talking about because right now we're at a $400 billion or so market cap, and you have Dan Moorhead, who has been fairly correct in terms of he's been pretty spot on, not necessarily perfectly spot on, but he has been in the Bitcoin cryptocurrency space since very early on. I believe Pantera was one of the first, if not the first, crypto hedge funds out there. Granted, when somebody who owns a massive, massive position in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency says, hey, we're going to go and be 10 times, 100 times more valuable than we are right now, obviously there's an incentive on his end for that to come to fruition. But I think it is definitely interesting to think about and to weigh. And I personally do think we are going to see a $1 trillion market cap in the cryptocurrency world at some point in time. I've predicted in 2018. I don't know if that will come to fruition or not. Sorry for the burps. The Pilsner is getting to me already. But sorry for, I think that is definitely something that you can keep in mind and check out as we continue to go. I don't know what you guys think. If you think $4 trillion or $40 trillion is possible in the crypto markets, certainly a number of years out right now. I mean, that's 10x and 100x from where we are right now. But if that is possible, you're talking about right now you watching the show being a very, very early adopter into this industry, whether it's from an investment standpoint, whether it's from actually using this technology. There's a lot of different things that I think is very, very early on, especially if we're talking about a 10x market-wise from where we are right now. And I do think that is very much a possibility when you consider some of the alternatives out there. So taking a look at some of these questions. What's up, Johnny? What's up, Heather, Joshua, Michael, Scott, Andres? What's going on, Boston, Mass? I was in Boston recently. What's up, brother? Riding that Z Classic train out. So we'll pull this up, and this is funny because this is Z Classic is an interesting one. Obviously, it pumped previously. So Z Classic pumped like crazy. We'll look at the 3 months. So if you guys aren't familiar with Z Classic pumped up to the damn moon. We'll go out on a 1 year chart. Z Classic pumped up to the moon. It was basically a dead coin. And then there were rumors that Bitcoin Private was forking off Z Classic, shot the price up of Z Classic significantly. So if you accumulated Z Classic low, you basically became rich. So shot the price up to the moon. And then the second the Bitcoin Private fork happened, it literally brought it back basically down to exactly where it was previously. It's been dead for the past pretty much month or so. Nothing really happening. And now we have Z Classic, which was again at $3. Now it's up about 500% at this point in time from certain areas. If you go back even in the past month or so, it's up 600%. I mean, it's crazy. It's totally crazy. Some of this, there's different reasoning behind that. I personally have heard behind the scenes rumors that Z Classic is forking again, and there's going to be some type of fork. And this run-up is, I think, a combination of, and this could be totally wrong, but I've heard from a couple different people behind the scenes that they believe that there's some type of fork going on, so that insiders were buying up. Previously, insiders were accumulating, buying up, and then as the price started going up and going up, there's been a little bit of FOMO-induced buying here as well. And that is... It's funny to me because there are a lot of people out there. I tweeted about this kind of joking, or I tweeted about this joking around about the price just going to the damn moon and saying, yeah, this is totally natural. You know, there's nothing to see here. And people are like, oh, you're a Bitcoin private hater. You hate ZCL. You're a hater. But those same people are the ones that are complaining about manipulation. Like, this is obvious manipulation as well. Something doesn't just go up 600% for no reason. It's obviously manipulation on that end too, and it'll be interesting. I think it'll be kind of funny to hear is if you hear about a ZCL fork happening in the next week or so, I wouldn't be surprised. I would just say this. I would not be surprised at all if that ends up going down because something just doesn't move. Basically, a dead coin like ZCL doesn't just move up 600% for no reason whatsoever. So popping over to a couple other things as well. One thing, and we've talked about this, I've talked about it a ton. So yeah, Kitchen and Craft, excellent point. If you made 6x on ZCL, good for you. Money's money. Although the likelihood, I think there are definitely experienced traders out there, and I've seen experienced traders out there that have been saying in the past month, hey, you should probably be accumulating ZCL here. I'm accumulating ZCL. And if you did make that trade, then hell yeah, you're crushing it. Oh, crap. Then hell yeah, you're crushing it. But there are also a lot of people that I think bought ZCL when it was $100, $200, and they're still massively, massively underwater. So that's something you got to take into consideration as you look at this. Getting back to the point on institutional adoption and big player, big money adoption. Granted, this is a vehicle, the CBOE futures are a vehicle where individuals can bet long and short, so it's not just bullish. You don't just look at this adoption and say, okay, everybody's going long, bullish, it's bullish. You can look at this and definitely see that there is growing adoption in terms of the large money and in terms of the institutional investors out there. So recently, CBOE had its highest ever volume for the Bitcoin futures. I do think that's a positive thing. You've seen that with the OTC markets. You've heard all these rumors behind the scenes about OTC markets just absolutely ballooning, people buying crypto or buying Bitcoin and buying crypto over the counter left and right. And you're also starting to see a lot of action in the Bitcoin futures as well. Again, that doesn't necessarily just point to bullish indicators, but at the same point in time, I do think it goes to show that people are getting more and more comfortable trading and investing into larger and more institutional focused vehicles and assets like the CBOE futures. So that is pretty damn interesting to watch as we continue to do this. And you could even see the other day with NASDAQ CEO talking about how NASDAQ would consider diving into the cryptocurrency markets at some point in time if the regulatory environment gets straightened out, and they would even consider being a cryptocurrency exchange at some point in time. Will that happen? Maybe it's a few years out, but you're crazy to think that there is. You probably saw the article today where Binance was more profitable in its first quarter of 2018 than Deutsche Bank was. Binance has like 200 employees. Deutsche Bank has tens and tens of thousands of employees. So there is a tremendous amount of profit to be made for some of these first mover infrastructure plays, which is why companies like the CBOE and the CME kind of rushed into putting these Bitcoin futures together, because if they gain the volume, if they join up quickly, they know they'll be solid in the long run, and there's a huge opportunity to make a ton of profit in this space. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that ends up panning out. John Singleton, what's up, brother? Tonight I am drinking a Czech-style Pilsner ale. I don't know if everybody joined previously, but celebrating a little bit tonight because the Jets actually drafted a quarterback who hopefully doesn't suck. So go Jets. Maybe this year we'll still probably suck. He's 20 years old. Maybe he won't even play. But I'm excited to see what the future holds for Sam Darnold, for the Jets. So, hey, we'll drink to that. So taking a look at some of these questions, getting a lot. So if there is anything you absolutely must have answered, throw it in the super chat. I will definitely get to it then. But I will try to answer as many of these as possible. I'll pull up on-chain FX here too, just to take a quick peek at the entire market as a whole. And again, it's been in minus Scicoin and Kyber Network as well. Omise Go, 0x. Some of the decentralized exchanges definitely having very strong days. But Scicoin, that's a pretty damn impressive move on Scicoin's part. So that's interesting to see. Yeah, Michael Karsh, congrats on the AirSwap launch. The token trader, if you guys are interested, the token trader with AirSwap is the token trader is live. What do we got here? So the token trader itself, I believe, what do we got about that? Oh, I don't even know the address of the token trader, so I'll have to pull that up later. But the token trader itself is live at this point in time. If I have the address, the button's not public yet, but I've been trading a little bit on that on my work laptop, so that's been pretty cool to see the actual user interface. I dig it at this point in time, so I'm excited to see how AirSwap can continue to develop, and it's been pretty sick. There we go. Yeah, AirSwap. Oh, duh. I put an R at the end of it. Thank you, Kyle. You know my company better than I do. There we go. I'm an idiot. I put trader. Yeah, but so there's the interface is all live. You can trade with a Ledger. You can trade with MetaMask. The user interface is pretty sick. I'm excited about that. And I believe the engineering team is also adding Trezor support as well. So it should be pretty cool to see how this ends up panning out. One thing I would say is just shout out to, first of all, the AirSwap development team, but anybody who's a software engineer. I've really never seen how much work goes into developing a platform, developing a product from scratch. And the engineering team straight up like barely slept for the past week, just crushing it and making sure the platform was good to go. So I'm excited about that and thankful for the AirSwap team, and also thankful for anybody else that's really building something in the crypto space. Kind of makes you appreciate that when you're sitting in the office with these people and you're seeing the level of diligence that they go ahead and do on a consistent basis. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate that, brother. And somebody asking how does it work? I mean, it's pretty damn simple. Like a bunch of people asking about Icon. You want to go? So I have MetaMask in here. I don't think the MetaMask is actually loading, but you would just click buy here and it would give you an opportunity to, so I don't have MetaMask actually loaded within any coins, but you would click on buy, or you could sell if you want, but mostly on the buy side, you click on that, go through that process of it'll guide you through it. And they just put out some tutorials as well, or I know the team has recorded tutorials. So that's cool to see as well. So popping over as well to our good friends at Mt. Gox. Once again, it's funny too because everything's on the blockchain. So everybody, Joe, I don't really comment too much on the price of AirSwap AST. I don't really have any control of that. So Pamela will definitely take a look at EOS at this point in time. But like, give me 1 second, Pam. I will talk about EOS in a second. But first, just wanted to touch on Mt. Gox moving another 140 million. Who knows where this is going to go? It's about 2,000 Bitcoin. So I think that it's just continuing to happen at this point in time. They still, I mean, they've sold off over $400 million at this point, and they've continued to, to go ahead and move Bitcoin across Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash across the board, since they do have quite a bit of value there. Some people have said before that, hey, they're going to, sell this OTC. In the past, they have sold it on exchanges, or they've sold it via exchanges. They've been yelled at and told to sell OTC. Who knows what they'll actually do with that? But I haven't seen an actual. So I've seen it get moved. I haven't seen where it's actually gone. Not sure where the 16,000 Bitcoin. Not sure where the 16,000 Bitcoin have gone. But we'll have to see what ends up happening with that. Traditionally speaking, that has not been good for the markets as a whole. Anytime they have moved Bitcoin and ended up selling it, price of Bitcoin has dropped. They basically started selling towards $18,000 back in December. I think they started liquidating at about $18,000 in December, pretty much all the way down. Panic sold heavily at the sub $7,000 range. So they sold all the way down, and then Panic sold, kind of capitulated quite a bit at the bottom, which is pretty funny. So Pamela Walker, take a look at EOS. So EOS has absolutely crushed it recently. No doubt about that one. Pull up EOS. Finance. I mean, you look in the past 3 months, I think EOS is at all-time highs in terms of... Yeah, so EOS is at all-time highs right now, basically at all-time highs in terms of Bitcoin trading pairing. Perhaps not fiat value, perhaps not USD-wise. We'll take a look here. General platform play. See how far off their all-time high they are from USD-wise? I don't think it's far. Yeah, they're only 18% off their all-time high. So EOS has essentially been... EOS and Zilliqa have been some of the best bets around. EOS is up 146% in the past 30 days, which is damn near incredible. Better than Ontology, better than Zilliqa, which I looked at. I read the white paper a couple weeks ago. Of course, I didn't buy it. It's it's basically up 100% since I read the white paper, because I'm an idiot and I didn't know too much about it. And I just didn't make a move on it, of course. So EOS is crushing it, as well as Ontology, as well as Zilliqa. As far as EOS itself goes, I don't think anybody knows at this point in time how to value a platform, and I also don't think that they necessarily know. I also don't think that they really know what's going to be the best fit for scaling. And I talk about this quite a bit with Peter from What Bitcoin Did in my meeting with or my kind of conversation with Peter today. That'll be posted tomorrow on the channel, so keep a look out for that. But I don't think, from a scalability perspective, everybody looks at scalability and they're saying, hey, EOS can be better than... EOS is so much better than Ethereum. EOS is better than this. EOS is better than that. There's definitely certain elements of centralization. And I've typically found that in a lot of respects, the more scalable something is, the higher the concentration of centralization on the platform. Granted, that might be what's needed. Maybe in the future, if we're going to have some type of distributed ledger technology platform that is needed for computational, computation and for developing applications, there maybe needs to be some element of centralization. Maybe it can't be truly decentralized. Who knows what is happening? But the fact that EOS has just continued to crush it, I mean, it's pretty incredible, and it's only 18% off its all-time high forever. So that's pretty exciting to watch if you're an EOS holder. I am not a holder. I don't own any. And I probably, at least for me right now, it could certainly continue to run. It can definitely continue to run. There's no doubt about that. But out of all the things that have, I feel like the time to buy EOS was 30 days ago, not necessarily now. And it could it continue to run? Yeah, absolutely. But I'm not the type of guy who's going to buy in when it's up 146% or whatever it might be in the past 30 days. That's kind of my thought process there. But I personally have seen more people excited about EOS now than I have in the past. I think a lot of that is due to the price action. The stronger, the better the price is, the more people think that technology is actually game-changing. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But the higher the price, the more comments I get that EOS is going to replace ETH, and it's the best thing since sliced bread and all that good stuff. Classified GT, could I look at Aeon if I have time? Yeah, I'll see if I can pop up Coin Market Cap. Adam Peabody, I'm a solid 5'9", 5'10" on a good day. You're very average height, kid. Very, very average height. Yeah, guys, if you are watching right now, would love for you to hit that like button, that thumbs up button. Really helps to get this video out to as many people as possible. If you wouldn't mind hitting that, I would really appreciate that. And like I said, tomorrow I have a really solid 45-minute video where I'm shooting the shit with Peter, and we're talking about all the kind of crypto, Twitter gossip, everything that's going on in the world. It's basically a state of the union. So that video was a ton of fun. He had a sick equipment set up too, so that was pretty cool as well. FOMO now before too late. I think it's already too late. So Aeon is one that focuses on interoperability. Interoperability is a hot. It's a really big, hot investment subject because number one, nobody knows how to actually value most of these cryptocurrencies, especially the platforms. Like something like Bitcoin maybe is a little bit easier valued, than Ethereum or an EOS. But when you're talking about like blockchain interoperability, you're valuing something that you're valuing interoperating something that basically doesn't even exist yet for the most part. But that has been really across the board. That has been really a successful investment thesis between Aeon, between Wanchain. And again, I screwed up on Wanchain. I was looking at Wanchain when it was at $3 at 40,000 sats. It's done nothing but go up and go up and go up. And I had an opportunity to enter in early. I didn't do it. And I'm going to kick myself and just continue to kick myself because of that. So you'll have to see how that ends up panning out. Pamela, I think I talked about EOS. I'm not sure if you missed that. I saw that, but thanks, Pamela. Appreciate it. Romario Gonzalez, ever thought of setting up a masternode? Yes, I have. Masternodes are definitely interesting. So I think over the summer, as I get a little bit maybe more free time, hopefully I'm kind of working on some things where I'll have a little bit more free time in addition to just kind of getting my work schedule down and a lot of other things like that. So I am considering two things that I kind of want to add to my repertoire. Number one, I would like to start mining. I'm probably going to try to build like a GPU mining rig and start mining again. That was one of the things that got me interested in cryptocurrency in the first place. And I haven't done that recently. And I just think it's a fun thing to do. Hopefully profitable as well. So I'd like to get into number one, mining, and then also master nodes as well is another thing that I have some level of interest in. I personally can't really afford like a Dash master node, but there are some other master nodes out there that might be like $10,000, $20,000 in that range that might be more affordable to me. And I think it's just a question of finding the right master node, the right value, and something that pays out enough to make it worthwhile, but also not so much that it's definitely a blatant scam. So I have thought about setting up a master node. I have not done that yet, but I am certainly interested in doing so. I think it's kind of outside of just crypto. I'm certainly diversified outside of the cryptocurrency world, as in stocks and retirement accounts and all that crap. But even being more diversified in the crypto landscape itself, between like holding a little bit of trading here and there, but a good amount of just kind of buy and hold, and then sometimes cash out. But also mining, I think, is one area where I'd really like to diversify, and masternodes is as well. Shout out to Clay Collins from the Flippening podcast. If you guys have never heard of Clay, this one, what do we got? Clay Collins, Flippening podcast, dash masternodes. So this is interesting too. Speaking on the subject of Dash masternodes, so I'll put a link to this one. Here you go. So this is a company based in Canada. So Dash masternodes, that's a company. Neptune Dash is basically, there's a podcast, and Clay Collins, who is somebody I respect greatly in the crypto world, or just in the podcast blogging world. Fantastic content. and he's building Nomics, which is a cool website as well. But he interviewed this guy Troy Wong from Neptune Dash. Basically, what Neptune Dash is it is a publicly traded holding company on a Canadian stock exchange that their like sole purpose is basically mining or is running Dash masternodes, getting Dash staking rewards or getting Dash masternode rewards, and reinvesting those masternode rewards back into more Dash. So they're really, I think they raised maybe $20 million in a traditional IPO, not an ICO, an initial public offering. And that is, so I personally, I don't own any stock on any Canadian exchanges. I'm assuming it's not a big deal for a U.S. citizen to do so. If you are in Canada as well, maybe check this out. Seems like a nice way to get exposure to I'm sure you could just buy Dash as a whole as well. Just buy Dash straight up if you'd like. But most people can't afford $500,000 plus on a Dash masternode. So this could give you the opportunity to get some of those rewards and also have access to have exposure to the cryptocurrency market via the traditional stock market. So pretty interesting. Heather will definitely check out Tony Stallone. What do we got here? And then I got a couple other super chats there as well that I got to get to. So appreciate those super chats from everybody. Rude Mudcrab, what's up, brother? Smart cash being used by 2.5 million merchants in Brazil with an NFC smart band payment system. So I haven't looked into smart cash too much. I don't, be pretty frank, I don't know too much on smart cash as of right now. If they are actually gaining some user adoption, that's pretty fantastic. I think South America is certainly one of the places where the use case for cryptocurrency, specifically transactional cryptocurrency, is absolutely massive, especially in a place like Venezuela, where just the fiat cryptocurrency in Venezuela, the bolivar, is a total shit show. That's an issue. That's a problem. People like David Hay, shout out to David Hay, who's I think down in Colombia right now. Talked to him on Twitter a little bit. Shot him some messages. He's like down there full time working on a nonprofit, trying to set up cryptocurrency adoption and help out the people in Venezuela. So shout out to all the people that are hopefully making an impact there, like David. Hope he as well. So that's pretty solid. Old school gamer Rick, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Missed you. Shout out to anybody who's been back after taking a vacation and not enjoying their portfolio being down day after day. Jared Day says, thoughts on Hashgraph. So Hashgraph is not publicly traded yet. It is a cryptocurrency. It is a project that I think is, I kind of feel like it's going to be like a Ripple, where so I've spoken to Jordan Fried, who's the VP of Business Development. I was at a conference where Mance Harmon, one of their founders, was there as well. So I have some familiarity with some other people. I had a meeting the other day with somebody who is kind of one of the original team members as well. Hashgraph is really interesting. It's a similar. It's DAG based technology. It's literally a hash graph. It's a hash graph. Kind of the name makes sense. There are elements of centralization that some people will like and some people will not. The technology is patented. It is not truly open source like a Bitcoin or an Ethereum is. On the other end of the spectrum, it cannot necessarily be forked or you're kind of legally in trouble. So there are certain elements of it that are very interesting. There are certain elements that people are going to really push back on. You have to decide whether or not, it's something that, you might like. Personally, I think that the project will, regardless of whether you like it, whether you don't, I think the project will probably do well financially. I think the token would probably pump, especially if especially if they get to mainnet pretty quickly. So I think that the token will probably do well. And I've had the opportunity to meet with some people, and I'm actually meeting with a dude tomorrow who is running one of the cool things, I guess, working now at AirSwap is I get to meet a lot of the different people in the space in New York. So tomorrow I'm getting lunch with somebody who's building the first stable coin for Hashgraph. So kind of like a Tether or a MakerDAI or a Haven or a base coin. It's one of those. It's an individual who's building like an algorithmic stablecoin for specifically for the Hashgraph platform. So that's pretty cool. I think I'm interested to hear kind of how they're building things, because I think that stablecoins are right now the possibility. There's a lot of people that argue whether a stablecoin is number one, like there's equity behind it, or there's tokenized securities behind some of these ones, whether or not they're a good investment. But on the other end of the spectrum, like if Hashgraph crushes it, like if Hashgraph does really, really well, that stablecoin could be incredibly, that stablecoin could be incredibly valuable, essentially. If Hashgraph doesn't do well, that company might cease to exist. So it should be fun to watch. $40 trillion market cap, and I quit my job right now. Shout out Jonah Hill, Leo, Wolf of Wall Street. $40 trillion market cap, and I quit my job and work for you right now. Stephen Valley, what's up, brother? I have no idea when I'll be in Vegas. No clue. Don't have any plans to go to Vegas right now, although I'm a big fan of Vegas. So we'll have to see what ends up happening with that one. Brad Evans, thoughts on Chainlink? So I am a fan of Chainlink. I sold a decent amount of my Chainlink and consolidated into Bitcoin, into some other assets in, I want to say in like February or so. I haven't run the numbers to where that to see if that trade, if I would have been more profitable holding on to that Chainlink, or if I am better off now without it. But I do like the Chainlink project. I do think that oracles are incredible. I think the way that the problem that Chainlink is trying to solve is going to be a big one as these blockchain technologies continue to develop, and as these solutions continue to develop. And I do believe that Chainlink does have a legitimate chance of helping to solve that problem. And I am excited to see how they do. Will they be the one that ends up doing that? Who knows? But I do think that connecting APIs and existing applications outside of the blockchain world to blockchain, that's going to be a big business potentially. Yeah, somebody said Zap working with oracles also. Popping up here. BTC to $10,000 this weekend. I don't know if we'll see that, John. I'll have to take that into. I don't know if we'll see that. It's certainly a possibility. I saw a lot of individuals on Twitter leverage longing Bitcoin at the $9,000 mark or so, and they hit that pretty nicely. I saw a couple different trades. Shout out to SoCal Crypto. I think thinking USD, BitMEX Flood also. A couple people I saw publicly say, "Hey, I'm leverage longing Bitcoin right now at $9,000, $8,900," and it immediately popped up. And good trade's a good trade. So I always love to see when somebody's on Twitter and talking about that, putting themselves out there, and yeah, it's always fun to watch. I don't think we have one, Steven. If you find it, let me know, brother. So Pete mentioned, what are your feelings on Verge? Why did it drop so hard after the big porn partnership? So, a couple different things on Verge. I've talked about this a little bit before, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but so Verge is a classic case of buy the rumor, sell the news, literally to the T. Like, this is exactly what Verge is. Verge announced, Verge said, hey, we're going to raise money for a partnership. We need some help doing this. We need money from you to announce this massive partnership that we're going to do. They raised the money, and once they announced, hey, we're raising this money, the price of Verge started going up. And then after that, Verge continued to trade up and up and up into the announcement of, so they said, hey, we're going to announce a partnership on April 17th. April 17th comes around, and here's the April 17th candle. This big, long red guy right here. This bad boy where it went, the price of Verge from the top to the bottom of that candle is 43% or so. So Verge spiked on the day of the announcement and then quickly dropped off down 40%. And is since from the top of that announcement, let's see how far Verge is down right now. So Verge is down about 50%, close to 50% from that announcement. Granted, if you bought at the start of the rumors, if you bought at the very bottom, which I doubt everybody did, still up 100%. But like I said, it is a classic case of buy the rumor, sell the news. I don't think people really are valuing the partnership very highly. I don't think people care about the partnership that much. They saw it as a short-term trade. The trade came to fruition. They got in, they got out. No pun intended. And they went on with their lives. And I think a lot of people, so the psychology of it is interesting. The psychology of it is interesting personally to me because a lot of people, you have people saying that are hardcore Verge fans, that are Virgins, that are hardcore Verge fans that, hey, this is going to be a game-changing partnership. You're an idiot if you sell now. You're an idiot, blah, 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 blah. As the price is dropping and dropping and dropping. And that is what smart traders will think about. They'll get into the psychology of some of these. I think in a lot of respects, it's a very psychological game with these news and things like that. But they'll get into the psychology of it and they'll look at it and say, okay, these, once this partnership gets announced or once they taste a little bit of this run up and the partnership gets announced, some of these individuals will think that the price can only go up and up and up, and we're just going to dump on their heads. And that's exactly what happened in this case. And that's what happens across the board. It's not just Verge. It's a lot of other cryptocurrency projects out there. But when some big announcement happens, and then it's a reason to get excited but not really value the cryptocurrency higher, or it's already been kind of gone up significantly, people will hold on because they think, okay, this is going to continue to go up and continue to go up. Whereas really, in a best case scenario, they would have been a lot better to sell all of their Verge the second the announcement happened, and then buy back in now if they wanted to, or buy back in the next day, and you basically could have doubled your stack, and you could have been double the Virgin that you were before. So Retro Fred said, what is your opinions on the coins you think might be on the NASDAQ exchange? I'm sure it will be equivalent to a Coinbase ad. So the NASDAQ exchange is probably 5 years out. So speculating on what coin will be on the NASDAQ exchange is about as useful as speculating what color underwear I'm going to wear in the next, when I turn 47 years old. So it's pointless, to be pretty frank. So NASDAQ crypto, I'll pop this open. Here we go. CoinDesk will pop over here. And so the CEO, if you're not familiar, there was an interview on CNBC where the CEO, Adina Friedman from NASDAQ, essentially said, I believe she was somewhat bullish on cryptocurrency, bearish on ICOs, bearish on initial coin offerings. She said that, I believe digital currencies will continue to persist, and it's just a matter of how long it'll take the space to mature. She talked about regulation. Once we think that there is actually a regulated market for this, the NASDAQ would consider it. So they didn't even necessarily say, hey, we're definitely doing a crypto exchange. They said they would consider one if the market becomes more regulated. So speculating, just a heads up, speculating on what cryptocurrency will be added to that exchange. Who knows what it'll be? Paul, I don't know, man. I'm usually a pretty straightforward dude. Maybe black, maybe dark blue. What I got? Calvin Klein's, bro. Calvin Klein's all day, every day. Like a fat Justin Bieber. Yeah, I'll probably be dead by then. I'll die of buffalo chicken wraps. Rover 27, this got creepy? No, you got creepy, bro. Gotta have a little bit of fun every once in a while. Yeah, and as Jason mentioned, if you guys are watching this right now and enjoying this, outside of my recent just tirade on stupid things, I'm not even going to re-go into that. But hit that thumbs up button, hit the like button. Definitely helps to get this video out to as many people as possible. And if by any chance you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, the notify bell. Would really love to see you here and on a consistent basis, and hopefully enjoying the content. Like I said, solid video coming out tomorrow with Peter from What Bitcoin Did. Should be a lot of fun. So what do I think about Icon? I like the platforms. That was something that I talked about today with Peter quite a bit, is the platform plays. So we do have the general purpose platforms up here right now, actually. And what do we pop it over? So I do like the platforms quite a bit. Icon being one of those. Icon kind of being one of those platform plays. It is up over here. It's done fairly well in the past month. It has not done as well as EOS or Zilliqa or Ontology or some of the other ones. But at the same point in time, I would say it has a decent valuation. It's still pretty high in comparison to maybe where it should be. But when you consider the alternatives here, you have Cardano at $5-6 billion. You have EOS at probably at around $10 billion. Ethereum at like $50+ billion. If you have strong conviction on what Icon can deliver from a technical perspective, if you have strong conviction there, then it might be worth taking a bet on saying, hey, it's at a $1.7 billion market cap right now. I personally think this could be a $5-10 billion cryptocurrency. If you think it's a $10 billion cryptocurrency, that's a 5x. If you think that. I'm not saying that one way or another, but I'm saying when you look at the comparables of some of the other platform plays out there, that gives you a bit of an idea of maybe what that might sound like. So somebody mentioned Lightning Network. Lightning Network is definitely interesting right now. I do think that Lightning and SegWit, there was a certain point in time where people were getting very bearish on Bitcoin when the fees on Bitcoin were super high. There are, I believe, more Lightning Network nodes now than there are Bitcoin Cash nodes, which is pretty crazy. There's a lot of activity on the Lightning Network. It is still very much in the early stages. It is still very far from real full. I think it's important to kind of take back BTC Kyle. I will definitely get to that in a second. I think it's important to kind of step back and just be realistic about how fast something can gain adoption. But I do think that like the true hardcore Bitcoin guys and girls are very excited about what Lightning Network can potentially do for the space. There are a lot of talented people working on that, a lot of very talented people working on that, and I'm excited to see how Lightning Network can pan out. So Bitcoin Kyle, what's up, brother? Hope all is well. So thoughts on Polymath? I think security tokens are going to be massive. Personally, I don't really think I kind of know security tokens are going to be massive. I've met with multiple companies in my day job. I've met with multiple companies that are thinking about doing security tokens, considering doing security tokens, and trying to participate in the space. I don't know if Polymath is kind of one of the tradable tokens right now that is a platform for security tokens. I don't necessarily know if this is something that this is something in many respects that I think this is something that a lot of people are looking at and saying, okay, this is going to win the security token platform play. This is going to be it. This is going to be, this is going to be the big news. I don't necessarily, there are other, so I'm bullish on security tokens. I'm not bearish on Polymath because I think it will probably get a lot of the benefit of the security token hype. but I don't necessarily know if Polymath and or T0 are going to be the winners of the game. There are other companies behind the scenes that don't have a token built into their platform that I've heard might have better technology. Securitize is one, Templum is another. There are other platforms out there that don't have a token but still do the same thing, and I think that might just be adding a token to that. Like, if you're creating a security token, you don't really care about using a platform that has another token to it. You just want something that's going to help you create that security token to add liquidity and to add, the benefits of having a security token in comparison to maybe traditional equity or something else like that. So I don't know if that makes sense to a lot of people out there, but there are other platforms out there that you can't buy a token for. They're just regular businesses that are doing kind of what Polymath and T0 are doing that I think might actually do better in the, win that market potentially. But at the same point in time, I think the security token market will probably get so big that even if Polymath necessarily isn't like beating those other companies, the token price itself will still appreciate. So that's my thought process there. Hopefully that helps on that end there, Kyle. Typerium IO. Piracy is a huge problem for content creators. We're changing the game forever. Cheeky teaser. So I appreciate the super chat there, Typerium. I'm assuming you guys are doing an ICO, so let's take a look here. See what's up with you guys. So I'll have to read your white paper. I don't know too much about you guys. This is not an endorsement whatsoever on my end. But I will definitely have to take a look at your kind of white paper, your roadmap, and see if this is something that might be interesting to check out. I appreciate that super chat, very kind of you. But I don't know. I haven't heard too much about you guys. I've seen the name come up in the chat a little bit here and there. But I will definitely with 50 euros, I will definitely take the time to read your white paper at least and see if it might be worth talking about on the channel a little bit further. Greg Christie says Poly has first mover advantage for sure. I don't necessarily agree with that because they have first mover advantage from a token perspective. They have a token available, but there are other businesses out there that are just as far along like getting customers as Polymath is, I believe, or from what I've heard. That's from what I've heard. Kyle Babcock talking about Raven. I want to actually, when talking about mining, Raven is one of those that I would love to check out further. I'd like to probably accumulate a little bit of Raven coin as well. What do we got? Where's CoinMarketCap? There's Typerium. I would be interested in accumulating some Raven coin as well. It's only traded. What exchanges is it traded on? It's traded on some kind of random all over the board exchanges that I have no. What are we on? The $30 million market cap really hasn't pumped in comparison. Kind of looks like, I don't want to say it's an accumulation phase, but it's moved sideways. Moved pretty much sideways for the month of April, which is, in comparison to a lot of the other coins out there, not super hot. But if anybody wants to sell me some Raven OTC, Kyle, get me some Raven OTC, buddy. I'll take it all day, Paul. So, Kunwar, what's up, man? Appreciate the question. Bobby, do you believe that alts are only useful to get more Bitcoin? No, I don't necessarily believe that. So I would say in some cases that's a Bitcoin maximalist type of thought process. And I am very much bullish on Bitcoin. The largest portion of my portfolio is Bitcoin. I do have the highest conviction probably in any asset that Bitcoin will retain its value the longest and probably be the safest bet in many respects. But I don't think that the only purpose of many of these altcoins is solely to get more Bitcoin. I do think there are other alternative crypto assets that will be around for a long time, that will do really well, that will add innovating tech to the scene. Will many perhaps die? Absolutely, it's certainly possible. But on the other end of the spectrum, I don't think it's just going to be Bitcoin and that's it. There's the Bitcoin maximalist arguments out there that just say, hey, it's going to be Bitcoin and Bitcoin's just going to do everything else that all the other altcoins can do. And I don't think that's the case. I personally don't. I am very much a fan of Bitcoin. It is still my biggest holding, but I'm not a total maximalist where I think that everything else is a shitcoin and it's just Bitcoin. So that's my thought process. And I do think there are things that altcoins are doing that are innovative, that are new, shaky regulatory status wise in a lot of cases, but we'll have to see how it ends up developing. Justin Williams, thoughts on A-Chain? So I've seen A-Chain speak in person a few different times. They've been around for a while. There's other platforms out there that I think are more impressive. So one thing I will say is I'm starting to see A-Chain on the conference scene a lot more, and they're trying to market a lot heavier. So it might do well from an investment standpoint. I don't think they've really done that in the past. Like, what we got here? BT. I don't think A-Chain has really tried to do a ton of marketing in the past. They're on Huobi, which is, if you're not registered on Huobi and OKX are pretty easy. KuCoin as well. You probably have an account on either Huobi, OKX, KuCoin, or HitBTC. I personally use Huobi there over those ones. But it hasn't done like incredibly well. But they really haven't marketed themselves that much in the US, and they're starting to. And I think, maybe by the fact that you guys are asking questions about A-Chain, it's working because people are starting to ask questions and they're starting to do more research on it. So I think that is certainly something of note. However, if I'm looking at it, there might be other platform plays that I'd be more interested in or might have more long-term success. On the other end of the spectrum, though, you look at A-Chain and it's pretty undervalued, or it's significantly undervalued in comparison to a lot of the other crypto assets out there. So we'll have to see how that ends up panning out. I haven't done like a full deep dive into A-Chain just because it hasn't been as appealing to me as maybe some of the other ones, but it might be worth the time. Eric, I'm all about Mount God, man. I'm all about Mount God. Kyle, what did Angelo BTC say? What's up, Ninja Crypto? Hope all is well. Somebody said, why don't you do paid reviews? I've tried to stick away from that as much as possible, just because I think a lot of people don't really enjoy them. And I think that, that's just the feeling that I get in a lot of that. And certainly correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that oftentimes people don't really like the paid reviews. And I do think, anytime somebody does I don't think there's anything wrong personally, just getting to it. I don't think there's anything wrong with getting paid to not necessarily review something, but doing like a sponsored video or a sponsored interview. I don't think there's anything wrong with that as long as you disclose it. But the reviews themselves, and I had done like 2 in the past. I did Engine Coin and I did another one, Black Moon Crypto, like in my first month of YouTube. And if I go back, I probably wouldn't do those again. Engine Coin has done well, Black Moon not so much, but just learning about things and kind of seeing the industry develop and things like that. I mean, the reviews themselves, like, you're not really reviewing it. Like, if you're getting paid to review it, you're not going to be like, yo, this is a shit coin. Hey, give me a couple $1,000, guys. It's not going to work like that. You're just going to be like, oh, this is really interesting. It's really cool. I put money in this, probably going to get paid in this, and good, bye, boom, bomb. So that is, I think that's, for the most part, why I've stuck away from those. And to be honest, like, I still work a full-time job. So I really don't need the money, and I do the channel for fun, and I'd like to stick around doing this for as long as damn possible and as long as I possibly can. So I think that there are a lot of guys out there that have either quit jobs and stopped working, or just need the money to do these paid reviews because they literally need the money. I don't, I don't, because I have the luxury of having a salary, or maybe you might not think that's a luxury, but I like working full time and not having to rely on shilling shit coins to pay bills. So I think that's a positive on my end. So there we go. Thank you very much for that, Kyle. Appreciate it. Yep, Angelo BTC, who is one of the most prominent, probably one of the most prominent Bitcoin traders around. And you could see a couple of his calls that have been freaking spot on. So back August 1st of 2017, when he said, hey, price movements in the $2,000 are only designed to shake you out before the $3,000. Obviously, it went up above $3,000. August 4th, price movements in the 3,000s will only be a distraction to shake you up for the 4,000s. That happened as well. Yeah, dude had over 4,000. Angelo BTC made over 4,000. Was that in like the last month or something? It was pretty crazy. But he's one of the top traders on BitMEX, I believe, on the BitMEX leaderboards usually. And you can do the math on what 4,000 Bitcoin is. It's a lot of money. That's not a little bit of money. That's a lot of bit of money. A lot of bit of money. But recently he just posted this, I guess, an hour and a half ago, and said any price movements under $10,000 have only been a distraction to shake you out before we hit $14,000 again. So if you believe that, if you conclude with Angelo, and if you've been waiting to enter the market, then maybe now is still a good time to accumulate into things and check it out. So Angelo's been, I think there are a couple people, and granted on Twitter, I'm usually just shit posting and posting GIFs and things like that. But there are a couple people that I do listen to. Angelo BTC is one of those individuals. There are a couple other ones when they're like, hey, I'm buying the dip, and people are freaking out or whatever. When, Crypto Cobain talks sometimes, when some of these other guys talk, I definitely listen and I take that into account. Even Jeebus, like, people, he doesn't take himself too seriously anymore, but when he does, he'll randomly throw out some gold. Like a week or two ago, he's like, I'm longing Ethereum right now, and Ethereum went straight up. And then yesterday, or like last night or 2 nights ago, he's like, I'm selling Ethereum, and then Ethereum went down. And it's like some dudes like that, they've been around the game so long, they just know what the hell is going on. They have such a solid feel for the market that I think it's great to see. Ryan Gower, good question. Thoughts on the ETH and XRP security stuff? This is something that I think is really interesting. I talk about it a little bit in tomorrow's interview video with What Bitcoin Did, and so I don't want to touch on it too much to take away from that conversation. But there's people on both ends of the spectrum. I think it's primarily either like very well-educated conservative lawyers who think that Ethereum is a security, and or Bitcoin maximalists that are like, Ethereum is definitely a security, we're not a security, and they're kind of attacking it. I personally think that, and I hope that Ethereum is not a security, because if Ethereum is a security, that's going to be bad news for the space. That is going to be terrible news for a lot of people. And not only would Ethereum be a security, but basically every ERC20 token, I would assume every ERC20 token on the platform that has Ethereum was an ICO, so that you would inherently think that every other token that is an ICO on the Ethereum platform is also a security, which spells bad news for that. And I also think that there are certain people that are saying, hey, I also think that there are certain people that are thinking, hey, this is going to be good for Bitcoin, though. I would argue against that, because I do think, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think that while there certainly are a number of like Bitcoin maximalists and people that are very much interested in just Bitcoin as a whole, there are also, I would say, the majority of people that probably watch this, and again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, let me know, but the majority of you guys, to me, seem like you're more interested, maybe you're interested in Bitcoin, but you're also very interested in the altcoins as well, Ethereum and all these other altcoins and things like that. So I do think that is something that because of that, it would cause a lot of people to leave the market. Joe Johns, crypto sucks, but you're still in my chat wasting my time typing in all caps because you don't know what a caps button is. So take your little dumbass on out of here. Yeah, so Joe Johns got me all triggered. But getting to that point, so like, let's say, okay, Bitcoin is not a security, but if ETH and XRP are, in that case, there are a lot of people that buy Bitcoin solely for the purpose of buying Ethereum or buying altcoins or things like that. All those people will leave the market, and they will probably not come back because it's not as interesting to speculate on Bitcoin as it is on. It's probably not as interesting to speculate on Bitcoin maybe as it is to speculate on some of these random altcoins as well. Something to take into consideration as you continue to move forward here and go on. I love these chats. Outside of that, guys, I think I am right now going to pop back and watch the rest of the NFL draft. I don't know what pick we're on. Maybe have another beer, kick my feet up, relax a little bit. Got work tomorrow. And like I said, I will have a video with Peter McCormick from What Bitcoin Did. It'll be posted up around noon tomorrow or so. And again, this is not chilling or anything like that, but if you haven't checked out the AirSwap platform yet, it is fully live. Team worked pretty hard on it. So if you want to check that out, you can use that to try out the new token trader. And there's 25 on there, a bunch of different ways you can kind of play around with it. Use your Ledger, use MetaMask, whatever you might want to do. It's also available on mobile with Trust Wallet, which is pretty cool. You can trade on mobile. So definitely check that out at some point in time later. I will certainly be keeping an eye on not the Verge chart, but I'll be keeping an eye on the Bitcoin chart and a lot of these charts as well. So should be a fun day tomorrow in the crypto markets. We'll have to see how everything ends up panning out. Couple different things, Brett. I think I'm gonna have I think I'll probably have Oved or Don, the two co-founders, on the channel for like a crypto happy hour. Like they'll probably sit down with me for like 10-15 minutes at some point in time in kind of addition to one of these. And we can definitely talk about how AirSwap sets the prices, since it is, it's going to be directly dealing with a specific maker. So we'll talk about how they'll talk about how the makers set the prices there as well. But hopefully everybody appreciates that. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Thank you guys so much for your time. Cheers to being a New York Jets fan and having Sam Darnold as your quarterback for the next 20 years because he's only 20 years old. And I hope you guys all have a good one. Take it easy. Peace.